Black Friday's supposed to be about crazy deals and packed stores, right? But what if the real horror isn't in the crowds, but lurking far away, deep in the woods? I never thought a simple family trip after Black Friday could turn into something straight out of a nightmare. The night I realized how wrong I was changed everything, and I've barely talked about it since. What happens when the person you trust most becomes the thing you fear the most? Would you survive if the darkness was closer than you ever imagined? Good evening, everyone. This is your host, AG Horrors, and welcome back to AG Horrorcast. Tonight, we're diving deep into 3 new disturbing true horror stories, tales that actually happened, or at least, that's what people claim. But one of them might not be exactly what it seems. Listen closely, and see if you can spot the story that doesn't quite add up. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe and follow, so you never miss a new chilling release. If you're enjoying the content, hit like, drop a comment, and share this video. Let's see how many of you truly love this kind of episodes. And if you want to dive even deeper into the darkness, join the AG Horrors family by becoming a member on YouTube or Patreon. You'll gain access to exclusive horror content, early episode releases, behind-the-scenes secrets, and special perks made only for true horror fans. You can also check out our official merch, or grab your copy of our creepy books on Amazon, perfect for those who like to keep the fear close, even after the episode ends. Thank you for being part of this journey with me. And now, turn off the lights, grab your headphones, and let's begin. I never imagined how quickly a simple holiday shopping trip could turn into a nightmare. It was early November 2023, the leaves a fiery blaze of reds and golds, and the air carried that crisp bite only fall can deliver. Like every year, my family was gearing up for our usual Thanksgiving trip to my brother's cabin deep in the woods of upstate New York. Tucked away beyond the reach of city noise, the cabin was surrounded by miles of dense forest, ancient pines and towering oaks that swayed and whispered in the wind. It was supposed to be a refuge from the chaos, a place to relax, reconnect, and forget the madness of urban life. My daughter Lily had just turned 15, and sometimes I still caught myself marveling at how fast she was growing up. She was bright and outgoing, the kind of girl who could make friends with anyone, anywhere. Piano lessons, soccer practice, school clubs. She was full of life, always moving, always smiling. My wife Anna and I were proud beyond words. But this year, something was different. Something was wrong. It started with a quiet unease that settled over me. One chilly Wednesday morning, I was loading bags into the car for a last-minute Black Friday shopping run, when I caught sight of a boy standing across the street, staring straight up at Lily's bedroom window. His posture was relaxed, almost casual, but the smile on his face wasn't friendly. It was patient, like he'd been waiting for something, or someone. For a long time, I almost got out to confront him. But just then, Lily appeared in the window, waving with a goofy grin that lit up her flushed cheeks. "Tom," she called. "Hey!" The boy's smile widened, but it still felt off. I sat back in the driver's seat, a cold knot tightening in my stomach. I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Later that evening, I asked Lily about him. "Who's that boy outside my window?" I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She shrugged. "Oh, that's Tom. He's in my chemistry class. He's harmless, Dad. Just likes to talk sometimes." Her casual tone didn't ease my worry. Harmless or not, the way Tom watched her had an edge, like he was sizing her up, learning everything he could. Over the next few days, Tom appeared more frequently, walking Lily home from school, loitering near our porch, always within arm's reach, polite, sure. Well-mannered, yes. But there was something too eager in his eyes, an intensity that set me on edge. I voiced my concerns to Anna. "You're just being protective," she said with a soft smile. "Lily's a smart girl." But I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. Then came Saturday, the day before Black Friday. A day that should have been ordinary, mundane. I bumped into Tom at the grocery store. His father, Mark, the local sheriff, stood nearby, tall, broad-shouldered, with a face carved from years of hard work and tough decisions. "Hey, David," Mark said, shaking my hand firmly. "You too, Mark. How's the family?" "The usual," he replied, but there was a flicker of something behind his eyes. Worry? Guilt? He glanced at Tom, who was fidgeting nearby. "Tom and Lily seem close. You okay with that?" I nodded slowly. "Yeah. They've been spending time together." "No problems." Mark's eyes darkened. "Be careful with Tom. He's not like other kids." I wanted to ask what he meant, but Mark walked away without another word. Black Friday came and went in a blur of hectic crowds and flashing sale signs. My mind was elsewhere. On Tom, on Mark's cryptic warning, on the growing unease I couldn't shake. That night, we packed the car and set off for the cabin. The road stretched long and silent, lit only by the occasional flicker of headlights cutting through thick darkness. The cabin emerged from the forest like a beacon, weathered wood glowing softly under orange street lamps, smoke curling from the chimney, pine and wood smoke scent mingling with the cold air. Tom slipped easily into our little group, helping with dinner prep, laughing with Lily and my brother's family like he'd been part of it all along. But beneath the surface, everything felt too perfect, too rehearsed, like a secret waiting to explode. That night, as flames flickered in the stone fireplace, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I stepped outside, the chill pressing in. "David." Mark's voice was tight, urgent. "You have to get away from Tom. He's dangerous, not who you think." "What do you mean?" I swallowed hard, heart hammering. "Tom's been unstable for years. Hurt animals, people. He's planning something terrible. He wants to take Lily." The line went dead. I turned back inside, stomach knotting. And there he was, Tom, standing in the hallway, holding a gun. His eyes were dark, cold, burning with obsession. "Don't come closer," he said, voice low, deadly calm. "I've waited a long time for this." Everything erupted into chaos. Gunshots cracked through the cabin, shattering the quiet night. Screams echoed. I blacked out. When I woke, the world was wrong. Anna, my brother, his wife, their kids, motionless on the floor. Lily was tied to a chair, bruised, unconscious. Footsteps. Tom's twisted grin came into view. "This is my Black Friday," he whispered. Then a crash. Rapid gunfire. Tom's body hit the floor, blood pooling beneath him. Mark stood over him, shaking, eyes haunted by what he'd done. We left that night, moving far away from the cabin, from the forest, from the memories. Lily still isn't the same. Neither am I. Black Friday will never be the same. I've gone Black Friday shopping for years. Usually it's chaotic but fun, a sort of family tradition after Thanksgiving dinner. But what happened 2 years ago changed the way I look at people completely. It started out like every other Thanksgiving. My parents were hosting, and the house was packed with my mom's side of the family, uncles, cousins, everyone after dinner, while people were still picking at pie. I told my mom I was heading to Target. They were doing one of those 6 p.m. Thanksgiving openings, and I'd had my eye on a 50-inch TV that was on sale for half off. The store was only about 10 minutes away. I got there 20 minutes before opening and saw maybe 30 people already lined up along the side of the building. It wasn't bad. I figured I still had a shot. When the doors opened, that usual wave of energy hit. People rushing in with carts, the metallic rattle of wheels, laughter, a few people shouting directions at their friends. It's funny how fast the holiday spirit turns into something else the second those doors open. I made a beeline for electronics, weaving through aisles and dodging carts. The TVs were already going fast. I spotted the model I wanted. There were only 2 left. I sped up. As I reached for it, someone else grabbed the one in front, leaving just 1 box. My heart jumped. I lunged forward and wrapped both arms around it. Victory. But before I could even breathe, I felt someone yank on the box hard. It started to slip out of my hands, and I instinctively pulled it back. When I looked to my right, a man was gripping the edge of the box, glaring at me. He had a short beard, maybe mid-30s, wearing a blue winter coat. "That's mine," he said flatly. "I just grabbed it," I told him, keeping my tone calm but firm. He stared at me for a second, then released it. "Fine," he muttered, and turned away. I thought that was it. A small scuffle, end of story. Except, as I turned toward the checkout lanes, I heard footsteps behind me. The same guy had doubled back. "Hey man," he said, catching up to me. "Listen, can I please have that one? Somebody blocked me from getting to it. I was right there." I tried to be polite. "I'm sorry. I really wanted this one too." He exhaled sharply through his nose, shaking his head. "I swear, I got there first." I didn't want to argue, so I said, "Sorry, dude," and started walking faster toward the registers. But he followed me, step for step. The more I ignored him, the more his tone changed, from pleading to angry muttering. I could feel people looking, but no one stepped in. By the time I reached the self-checkout, he was seething. "Enjoy your stupid TV," he snapped, before turning and storming off. I paid as fast as I could. My heart was still racing, but I tried to shake it off. Things like this happen every year, right? Outside in the cold night air, the parking lot was packed, but quieter. The glow from the store lights barely reached the far rows where I'd parked. I loaded the TV into my trunk and shut it. When I saw movement to my right, it was him, the guy in the blue coat. He stood about 20 feet away, flipping me off, his face twisted in something between anger and disgust. Then he got into an old gray sedan parked a few spaces over. I tried not to make eye contact. I climbed in, started my car, and drove off. For a moment, I even felt bad. Maybe the guy had a rough day. Maybe he'd promised that TV to his kids. I brushed it off as just one of those ugly Black Friday moments. It wasn't until I turned onto my street that my stomach dropped. In my rearview mirror, headlights turned when I did. Same distance, same rhythm. I told myself I was being paranoid. But as I pulled into my driveway, the car slowed, then stopped directly in front of my house. I froze. The man rolled down his window and started honking, yelling something I couldn't make out over the engine noise. Then he sped off, tires screeching. I sat there in silence for a while, staring into the dark road. He knew where I lived now. I carried the TV inside, locked every door, and went back to my parents' place. For the rest of the night I told them everything. But we decided not to call the cops yet. He hadn't done anything illegal, technically, just freaked me out. When I finally went home around 10 p.m., I pulled into the same driveway. Slowly everything looked normal. My porch light was still on, my car untouched. I told myself to stop being paranoid. But when I walked toward my front door, something caught my eye. A faint shape by the right pillar of my porch. At first I thought it was just the shadow of the railing. Then I saw it shift. An arm. Someone was standing behind the pillar. Every instinct in me screamed who it was. I froze mid-step and mumbled, "Crap, I forgot my phone," loud enough for anyone nearby to hear. Then I turned and started walking calmly back to my car. My pulse was hammering. I didn't dare look back. 10 feet away from my car, I finally broke into a sprint. That's when I heard it. Rapid footsteps behind me. The man had started running too. I slammed my door shut and locked it just as he reached my driveway. Something hit the side of my car, hard, as I sped off. Probably a rock or his fist. I didn't go home that night. I went straight to my parents' house and called the police. When we checked the car the next morning, there was a fresh dent on the passenger side. The police took my statement, but said there wasn't much they could do unless he came back or I got a plate number. I never saw him again after that. But even now, every Thanksgiving night when the stores start opening, I can't help but glance toward my driveway, half expecting to see a blue coat in the shadows, waiting for another chance at the TV that wasn't his. I used to love Black Friday. The chaos, the energy, the late-night deals. It all made me feel like I was part of something big. But now, I can't hear the words Black Friday without getting chills down my spine. It was the night of November 29th, 2019. Black Friday. I was 17, working my first real job at a local supermarket in Texas. Since I was one of the newer employees, I got stuck with the closing shift. I didn't mind though. The store was open late for the sales, and I needed the money. A few months before this, I'd broken up with my girlfriend. Let's call her Jennifer. We'd been together for almost a year, and I thought she was the one. That changed the day I found out she'd stolen over $900 from me. When I confronted her, she didn't even deny it. She just looked at me coldly and said, "This isn't over." At the time, I thought it was just anger talking, but I should have taken her seriously. That night, I didn't go with my family to our place in the hill country. They usually spent Thanksgiving and Black Friday weekend out there, but I stayed behind because of work. By the time I got home, it was almost 11 p.m. The streets were quiet. Most of my neighbors were probably sleeping off turkey hangovers or standing in line for midnight deals. I was exhausted, so I took a hot shower to wash the supermarket smell off me. Grease, floor cleaner, and coffee. The steam fogged the bathroom mirror, and the warmth felt like the only safe thing in the world. Halfway through, I heard a strange metallic bang from the garage. It was faint, but distinct. Maybe the heater expanding or something mechanical. I told myself that Texas winters aren't brutal, but the cold can creep in at night, making the house creak and sigh. I shrugged it off and finished up. After I got dressed, I walked into my room and started scrolling through my phone. That's when I heard it again, this time, coming from the side of the house near my bedroom window. It wasn't loud, but deliberate, like someone tapping metal against glass, slow and rhythmic. My stomach sank. I turned off my phone's light and crept toward the window. The yard looked empty, quiet, open, and still, under the moonlight. Our backyard didn't have any tall bushes or places to hide, but there was a small blind spot near the corner of the window I couldn't see from inside. I told myself I was being paranoid and went to lie down, but the second I turned my back, bang! Something hit the window hard. I jumped up and froze. My heart was pounding in my throat. Slowly, I turned and saw a shadow. A human figure standing just outside the glass, wearing all black. At first, I thought maybe it was a neighbor playing a prank or someone lost from the late-night rush. But when the figure slowly reached into their pocket, I caught a glint of metal in the faint porch light. My stomach dropped. It looked like a gun. I bolted out of my room and sprinted for my parents' bedroom across the hall. My dad kept a shotgun in a small safe under the bed, and the key was usually hidden under his pillow. As I ran, I grabbed my phone and called 911. The dispatcher picked up, calm but urgent. I whispered what was happening. She told me officers were already on their way. It'd take about 5 minutes. Then, glass shattered. It came from my room. I heard heavy footsteps on the tile floor, slow and purposeful. The dispatcher told me to stay on the line, but I was shaking too much to talk. I reached under the pillow for the key, but it wasn't there. That's when I remembered my dad had taken the shotgun with him to the hill country for target practice. I was defenseless. The house fell silent. For a moment, I thought maybe they'd realized someone was home and left. Then I heard another set of footsteps, 2 pairs now, climbing the stairs. Then came the scraping of metal against tile, like a pipe or crowbar being dragged. I pushed the dresser against the bedroom door and crouched behind the bed, holding the phone so tight my hands hurt. My breathing was loud in my ears. Cold sweat dripped down my neck. I tried to cover my mouth to stay quiet. Then I heard her voice. "Merry Black Friday, Tommy," she said in a sing-song tone, dripping with venom. "Jennifer." My blood ran cold. A man's voice followed, low, mocking. "We know you're in there." I wanted to scream. They were at my door now. Jennifer's voice was closer. "Don't worry," she said, sweet and terrifying. "If you don't open up, we'll open it for you." Then came the pounding. The door shook under each hit. The metal scraping got louder, sharper. I was seconds from passing out when I finally heard it. The faint echo of sirens growing louder, slicing through the still night air. Jennifer cursed, and the footsteps scrambled away. Through the phone, I heard the dispatcher say, "Officers are at your location." Seconds later, a man shouted from downstairs, "Police! Freeze!" There was shouting, scuffling, then silence. When I finally stepped out, 2 officers were leading Jennifer and a man I didn't recognize out of my house in handcuffs. She looked straight at me as she passed, her expression a mix of hate and satisfaction, like she'd almost gotten what she wanted. Later, the officers explained that Jennifer and her new boyfriend had broken in through my bedroom window with the intent to rob me. Or worse, they'd found duct tape and a knife in the guy's jacket. Before they took her away, Jennifer spat one last thing that chilled me more than the cold night air. "You ruined my life when you told everyone what I did. This is payback." My parents drove 3 hours back that night, terrified and shaken. I spent the rest of the night giving statements, still trembling, trying to make sense of the nightmare. That was my last Black Friday shift. Now, every year when the crowds line up for deals and chaos fills the stores, I stay home with my doors locked, because some people aren't out for bargains, they're out for revenge. If you've made it this far, you're braver than most. Tell me in the comments, which story haunted you the most tonight? And if you had to live through just one of them, which would you choose to survive? Don't forget to drop your guess. Which story do you think wasn't what it seemed? If you enjoyed this episode, hit super thanks on YouTube or send some stars if you're watching on Facebook. It helps your comment stand out and keeps the horror alive. Want to go even deeper into the darkness? Join our YouTube membership or become a Patreon supporter to get early access to upcoming episodes, exclusive content, and behind-the-scenes horror secrets you won't find anywhere else. And if you want to keep the fear close even after the stories end, check out our official AG Horrors merch or grab your copy of our creepy books on Amazon. Don't forget to like, share, and catch up on past episodes, because the deeper you go, the darker it gets. Until the next episode, stay safe.